A small community coming under bushfire threat. Water bombers called in to help with the firefight. 2 Bali 9 ringleaders transported for execution. Diplomatic tensions rising with Indonesia. And changes proposed for Tasmania's gun laws.
This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with developing news on a bushfire situation that's threatening a small community. It flared up a few kilometres from Lefroy near Georgetown. Crews were on the scene last night as the blaze came close to Curry's River Reservoir. Today, up to 5 helicopters have been battling from above as emergency workers dealt with intense wind. As we go to air tonight, the bushfire is at an emergency advice level. We begin our coverage with Yazdedovich in Lefroy.
The blaze started around 7 p.m, roaring through dense bushland near the Curry's River Reservoir, only 3 kilometres from the town of Lefroy. Stationed there was little firefighters could do to contain the inferno as winds dropped, forced to wait for daylight. By 10 a.m, it had engulfed 308 hectares. Emergency teams met to analyse its possible path. They predicted the most serious threat would come this afternoon when northwesterly winds reach 40 kilometres per hour.
Our area of concern, so currently we're strengthening lines also on the fire ground in order to protect those communities.
With smoke billowing in the distance, residents in town feared it could put their families at risk.
There's wind. I think the wind's only supposed to get worse over the next few days.
This is the biggest I've seen. I've been 15 years? 15 years here for me, but my husband's been here a lot longer. Yeah, but this is the worst I've seen.
Police door-knocked homes while fire crews prepared on the ground. Just after midday, the fire front split into 2. Water bombers provided much-needed relief from above. Despite those efforts, the front moved towards the town when fire crews arrived to protect it. At 5 p.m, the blaze continued its path of destruction. Are you expecting a fight here?
Yeah, they've said like in the next hour or so expect some members to come first, so we're going to be looking out for spot fires and just trying to make sure that we try and keep that all wet around here.
With roads tonight closed, residents and firefighters are preparing for a fight. Yazdedovich, Southern Cross News.
An incident management team has been set up at fire headquarters in Youngtown. Our reporter Hannah Sinclair is there. Hannah, good evening. What's the advice from the fire service?
Joe, I'm joined by Incident Controller Neil Brooksbank. Neil, thanks for joining us. It's been a very busy 24 hours for your crews who are still battling the blaze. Tell me, what's the current situation at Lefroy?
The last report says the fire is now in the township. We have crews working in and around that township to protect the township. The township itself will be under pretty intense smoke logging situations. Visibility will be down to almost zero. So at the moment it's quite a serious fire that's in and around their area.
And we understand you've also set up an evacuation centre. Can you tell us about that?
Correct. We set up an evacuation centre purely in regards to providing a safe haven for the people from the township, and that's in the Georgetown area, also in the Memorial Hall there.
And the fight's not over. Tell us, what will operations involve tonight and tomorrow?
Well, currently we have some 18 appliances working on the fire. We've got 5 aircraft locally. We have the ability to resource another 5 from Hobart, but we're also just en route now having 2 large air tankers coming from Victoria. They hold 13,000 litres of retardant each, and we're also going to deploy a compressed air foam capability, 9,000 plus litres of water and foam from Hobart. That's on its way up for work tomorrow. Plus strike teams over the operational period tomorrow. So we're gearing up for tomorrow, but we'll also maintain a capability on the fire ground this evening.
Yeah, so it sounds like all systems go. Thanks for joining us, Neil. Neil Brooksbank from Tasmania Fire Service there. It's looking like a long night ahead for these firefighters and residents protecting their homes tonight, Joe. Let's just hope everyone can stay safe.
Yeah, my word, that certainly is our hope. Thank you very much. Hannah Sinclair joining us there from fire headquarters in Youngtown. Now to the day's other major news story. Andrew Chan and Myron Sukumaran, 2 young men from Western Sydney, are now on Nusa Kambangan Island in Indonesia to face a firing squad. They've been in jail in Bali for 10 years, reformed but still targets for Indonesia's president. Prime Minister Tony Abbott says it leaves many Australians sick in the guts. Stay with us. Still to come in our broadcast, the federal government backs down on a Defence Force pay offer, and hundreds of Tasmanians join rallies across the country. Welcome back. Hundreds of Tasmanian workers have joined a national day of action against the federal government. But the Employment Minister is labelling the rallies a dishonest union campaign, saying there are no changes to penalty rates or the minimum wage. Michael Maney will join us with the day's sport news later in the bulletin, with Australia sent into bat at the WACA against Afghanistan. The Hobart Hurricanes set to lose another homegrown player for Big Bash 5. And the push is on to bring Essendon to Blunston Arena for next year's NAB Challenge. Those stories for you shortly, but first, after the break, a look at the day's headlines, including the Tasmanian poppy processor sold off, and 10 days brings its magical big top back to town. Welcome back. These are some of the stories making headlines tonight. The community of Lefroy threatened by fire. 2 Barley 9 ringleaders transported for execution. Gun law changes proposed for Tasmania, and 10 days tent pops up in Hobart. Returning now to our top story, the bushfire situation near Georgetown. The blaze flared up a few kilometres from Lefroy. Crews were on the scene last night as the fire came close to Curry's River Reservoir. The fire service has called in help from Victorian authorities, who are flying over Hercules water bombers. Currently, the emergency warning remains in place. The latest advice to residents can be found on the Tasmania Fire Service website. The wonders of the Spiegel tent are ready to be unveiled once more as the travelling arts hub returns for its second year in Tasmania. It's the key piece of the bigger puzzle that is the new Tasmanian International Arts Festival, drawing its roots from 10 days on the island.
Tasmanians piled into the Spiegel tent last year, and on the back of what was a raging success, Hobart is welcoming back its artistic delights with open arms.
A look now at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed lower, with weak gross domestic product figures weighing on sentiment. At the close today, the ASX 200 index was 32.3 points down. Currently, our dollar remains reasonably steady, trading at 78.16 US cents and 50.92 British pence. Well, sport is next with Michael Maney, and Australia sent him to bat at the WACA, Mike.
Yes, Joe, and they've lost an early wicket against Afghanistan. So also tonight, the winds of change blowing like a hurricane in Hobart. Welcome back. Aussie selectors have finally run out of patience with Shane Watson, who's been dropped from today's World Cup match against Afghanistan in Perth. Batting first, Australia made a less than convincing start with Aaron Finch dismissed cheaply. But some lofty hitting from David Warner helped restore order at the WACA. There's more changes on the horizon for the Hobart Hurricanes, with another stalwart set to depart. Sports reporter Chris Rowbottom has been monitoring developments. Chris, good evening. What changes can we expect at the Hurricanes?
Well, Michael, we've already had one fan favourite announce his departure in Ben Hilfenhaus, but another Tasmanian stalwart is looking likely to leave too. We believe spinner Xavier Doherty has knocked back a contract offer from the Hurricanes and is pursuing other opportunities. The Melbourne Renegades are leading the charge, but the Sydney Thunder are also believed to be pursuing his signature. Adelaide could also be interested, with their young spinner Adam Zampa being chased by the Melbourne Stars.
And Chris, it's looking like a new look Hurricanes team for BBL5. Who are we expecting to fill the void?
Well, Michael, you might know him as the Wild Thing. He also goes by the name of Sean Tate. The South Australian veteran speedster expected to pen a 2-year deal with the Hurricanes. There's also some talk around Dan Christian, while the team is also close to signing an international player. So, Michael, plenty to keep an eye on during the trade period.
Thanks for that, Chris. Chris Rowbottom reporting there. He's a star. Adam Scott, he'll adjust.
He'll adjust just fine. Thanks so much for that, Michael. Well, who would guess we would have snow flurries in March? Murph's coming up next with all the weather details.
Good evening. Hobart 23 today, Launceston and Devonport 21, while Burnie recorded 20. 24 was the high at Swansea and Maria Island. The west and far south had a few showers blow in. Mount Reid recorded 15 millimetres. Bushy Park, Campania and Fingal 23 degrees. Wynyard and St Helens 22. Flinders Island 21. King Island, Low Head, Grove and Geeston all 20. Strawn and Scottsdale 19. Lyowini 15 degrees. A weakening frontal band of cloud is moving away to our east. Now that's allowed a fairly large cold pool of air to move over our region, which is south of the Bight. An upper level trough is also streaming cloud over Western Australia. Patchy cloud over Tasmania today with heavier conditions over the west. Tomorrow a very strong high well to the west extends a ridge over the eastern part of the country. A front is to our east and the broad trough continues further north. And windier it will get with west to south westerlies at 25 to 35 knots over the west and north and as strong as 40 knots over southern waters. Swells 6 metres in the south. Strong wind warning from St Helens Point to Wineglass Bay along with Frederick Henry and Norfolk Bay, Storm Bay and the Channel. A gale warning for all other coastal waters and a small craft wind alert for the lakes. So no doubt it'll be windy tomorrow with a few showers thrown in. Hobart 15, 14 for Cygnet, New Norfolk 16 degrees. For Launceston, a possible late shower, 18 degrees, 19 the top for Devonport, 17 for Campbelltown, still with a bit of wet weather around. A late shower for Burnie, 18, 15 the top for Strawn, 18 for Smithton. Similar pattern everywhere, apart from St Helens, mostly sunny at 19, 18 the top for Swansea, Fingal, an early shower clearing 17 degrees. UV still in the high range. Showers easing Friday morning and contracting to the west, gusty southwesterly winds around the state, mainly fine on Saturday apart from showers over the west, south and Bass Strait. A Sunday morning shower over the northeast and later over the northwest, otherwise fine. Sunny and plus 30s for Alice Springs and Perth, partly cloudy in Adelaide, a morning shower forecast for Melbourne and fine conditions for Canberra, Sydney and Brisbane. Cloudy in Hobart, 18 degrees, 18 as well in Launceston, showery in Devonport and 17. Yes, Joe, snow to 800 metres tomorrow night and yes, a few snow flurries as opposed to your normal flurries that you throw those Oreo bits in.
Don't mind a good flurry. Thank you very much, Murph. Before we leave you tonight, just returning to the bushfire situation affecting the community of Lefroy near Georgetown. Our reporter Yaz Dedovich is there. Yaz, what's the latest?
Joe, firefighters are battling the blaze on Beachford Road, which is just behind these houses in Lefroy here. It's already reached a few homes which are further down, but they're containing it or trying to contain it down there at the moment. Residents in Lefroy here itself are preparing themselves to battle the blaze if it does reach any of their properties. The roads around the area have been closed off for safety reasons. Ash and smoke is making it difficult for pretty much anybody to manoeuvre around here at the moment. Worryingly and sadly, Joe, it's simply a case of watch and wait for the residents here right now. There's not much they can do but wait to see if the fire reaches the town itself. The police and firefighters are here in the centre of the town waiting to inform people about the latest, and water bombers, 2 water bombers will be dispatched within the next 10 to 15 minutes hopefully. But at the moment it is simply a case of trying to keep this fire away from this town.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yaz, for that update. Yaz Dedovich joining us there from Lefroy. And a reminder, for the latest information and advice on the blaze, you can go to the Fire Service website. That is your news for this Wednesday. From all of us here, thanks for your company. See you with updates a bit later. But for now, from the team, good night.